Hi there, everyone! Welcome to a video that I've been kind of wanting to film for a little bit. It is my current TBR. Now, I normally don't do TBRs because I never seem to follow them. And normally people do TBRs for the month or for a set time. Mine, I just want to get through. So, I have my list, and I have them broken up between three different sections. I have physical books, I have ebooks, and I have audiobooks. Now, some of these do have some overlap, so that's definitely going to help. But I'm going to start with the physical books that I have. Just trying to get them out. Okay. So the physical books that I have, I have 4 of each. So that way I have 12 books on my TBR, and as soon as I finish them, I move on to the next one. The first one that I have is actually the one that I've been reading for the longest, but it's because it's more of a self-help book, and that is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, The Japanese Art of Decluttering and Organizing by Marie Kondo. I started watching, when I still had Netflix, her show Tidying Up. And I'm like, what is this little Japanese woman going to teach us about decluttering that I don't already know? But her process of actually breaking everything down into smaller chunks is actually quite interesting. And I didn't have really a problem of like hoarding things because my life had been kind of transient when it came to moving from my parents' house into an apartment, from apartment to apartment, and then finally apartment back to mom and dad's house. Me and my husband already were pretty good about getting rid of stuff that we didn't need. There were some things that I had been holding on to, such as like clothes, that I could probably get rid of, but I had already kind of figured that out before I read her book. But this actually really helped me convince my mother, because my mother always had a problem with holding on to things for way too long. So this definitely helps if you have kind of hoarding tendencies. I wouldn't say necessarily being a hoarder, because that's a whole other kettle of fish. But this is good for anyone who just needs help with getting your life organized. The next one I have is actually one that I got from a new author friend of mine, and that is The Rainbow Claws by Beth Bolden. And I was so happy to get this one because it is a football male-on-male romance, and this was the cover that she had prior to her recent recoverings. And I was so thrilled to get it because I love this cover. This cover is everything because it's very indicative of what's happening. And basically, I'm going to read just the back of it just so you kind of know what's going on. But basically, the tagline is, don't fall for the athlete. Don't like the athletes, don't sleep with the athletes, don't fall for the athletes. It had never been difficult to keep the rules, but Nick had a feeling he was about to be tested. So basically, it's a football romance with the kind of forbidden aspect, because a lot of times football players are not encouraged to be out. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I didn't want to read too much into it. I did read the back, which is ultimately why I ended up buying it. But I'm super excited because Beth is just like the most awesome person. So I was really interested. The next one I have is actually one that kind of hits one of my favorite tropes, which is fake dating. And that is Married for a Month by Kate Ashwood. Kate Ashwood, by the way, if you're a self-published author, does covers, and she does beautiful covers. Like, this is one of hers, so. This one has best friends from high school deciding to marry for a month. I think it's supposed to be like a cash kind of thing. But I think they might get drunk. I don't remember. But again, this just looks like it's right up my alley, and it's actually pretty short. Most of the male-male romances that I've found are pretty short as far as length goes, but then again, most of them are in paperback because they're self-published, which I'm cool with. It's easier to carry something like this around than it is to carry a hardback book. Though there is exceptions with this one. This is an author that I have read a metric butt ton of hers. And no, it is not the one you are thinking of. There is a one of hers, though, on my list. But it is Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. This is a love letter to fandom. I have followed Annabeth Albert since I started reading her books last year. And I watched her talk about this one, write this one, publish it, and then I ended up getting a copy of it myself. I pre-ordered it. And I have never been happier to pre-order a book. Because not only does it have two guys who hate each other, which I always love enemies to lovers, but it has road tripping, and I love road tripping. Like, look at this. Look at this gorgeousness. Like, I want to know who did these drawings for her, because they are just, I love it. It's so pretty. And what's even best is that towards the end, you get another map, but you also get concept art for the characters. Like, look at this. They're so pretty. I love that. And ultimately, like, here's kind of a temperature thing. It's like, please stop talking. The best enemies to lovers, epic fandom, road trip, why is there only one bed? One of my favorite fanfiction tropes. Gay romance you'll read all year. It's like, game on. And, I cannot wait to get to this, because love letter to fandom, and I was thrilled. I ended up pre-ordering not only the paperback book, but also the audiobook. So this is one of them that's kind of crossing over. Now, those are the 4 physical copy books. Then I have my ebooks, which I obviously can't show because they's on my Kindle, and my Kindle is dying. But the ones that I have, first off, is First Impressions by Jay Hogan. I actually got this one, I believe I got this one for free out of a giveaway. And Jay Hogan is a new author to me, and so far, I really like what she's done. I believe it's a she. And it's set in Australia with a canine detective getting with a doctor. And there's a lot of, like, enemies to lovers feelings in this, and I am all for it. The next one I have is actually one that I've seen very frequently. She doesn't get enough recognition, but she has really pretty covers, and that is Marshall by Claire Castle. And I've seen the other 2 books of this series, and I'm really interested, but Marshall was the one that I was kind of, like, more interested in. I don't have an audiobook for it, and I don't have an audiobook for First Impressions either, which kind of makes me sad. But I'm hoping that they will come out with them, or I'll just read them in Kindle form. I'm trying to get better at that. The next one I have is Off Campus by Amy Jo Cousins. This one was one that I found just randomly on my Goodreads, and I'm like, I wonder if I could find this one. So I found it. And I think I had it, like, on my list because I got in, like, a free giveaway. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And it features college-age protagonists. I don't remember much because it's been a while since I picked this list. The last one that I have that's on ebook is Throwing Hearts by N.R. Walker. I love N.R. Walker. The books that I've read from her where they are gritty, they're really good. And then I've only read one of her kind of fluffier ones, and that damn near made me laugh out of my bed and then break my heart. So I'm expecting Throwing Hearts to do the same thing because it features, I think, a coffee shop and pottery. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know much about it, but I just know that From everything that everyone's telling me, it is super squishy soft, and in these times, kind of a thing I need. Now for the 4 audiobooks. The first one is one that you're probably going to not be surprised by, but it is the second book of the Fog City series, Kingslayer by Layla Rainey, my queen. This is obviously the second book of the Fog City series. I read Prince of Killers like a while ago, and I have a review, and I've kind of put off it because from what everyone says, Kingslayer is not as gripping as Prince of Killers was, with the twist ending, but it's also written from another point of view that we didn't get in the first book, and I just really don't like single point of view stories. I just really don't like that. But that's me. That's my own personal pet peeve. But I want to finish the series because I know A New Empire features both of their perspectives. So I want to get through that because I know that 2 characters are getting single books coming up, and I want to read them. Woo! Want to read them. So then the next one I have is In the Wreckage by Haley Turner. Now, if the name Haley Turner sounds familiar, it's because I read A Fairy of Golden Bones, I believe it's called, which is the first book in her Soulbound series. And I said it wasn't really up for me. I did have a commenter say that if you do read it through, it does get better. It's not as heavy on the information going forward. And I do have book 3, All Souls Near and Nigh, but I'm thinking of continuing that. But In the Wreckage, however, is her Metahuman Files series. And this features basically what would be termed as mutants. And I started listening to it when I was building my my dresser, and I enjoyed it. But I wasn't writing a superhero story at the time, and now I'm really wanting to read it. And then the next one I have is Escape Velocity by... Okay, I had to write these down because some of these names... I think it's Anna Crow and Diane Fox. This was one that's part of Audible Escape, which is a service that you can purchase that will allow you access to hundreds of romance novels of varying degrees. It is a male-on-male science fiction story, and I started reading it, or I started listening to it, and the humor is there, but some of the reviewers did say that it does feel kind of squishy soft when it comes to the actual description of the sci-fi elements, which is something that kind of bums me out. I was kind of hoping for something that actually had more in the science fiction genre, but I'm still looking. So if you have any suggestions for male, female and female, some kind of queer story that has science fiction as its main genre, I'd love to listen. The last one that I have is actually Ground Zero by Amy Nicole Walker. Now, since I have been a part of several Facebook groups when it comes to the LGBT community, Amy Nicole Walker's name is constantly getting thrown out there because of her books, and she has a lot of them as far as I know. I think she has a bunch of them because I keep seeing them all over the place. But Ground Zero is the first one that she has. I think it is a cop drama one, and it's one that I'm really interested in. I actually had a whole bunch of hers that I could have chosen from, but this was one that I was really interested in. And I'm really hoping that I do enjoy it, because, I'm also somewhat reading other things, such as books for research, writing craft books, and also listening to some audiobooks of nonfiction varieties, just so I have something else to kind of listen to. But I'm going to try to get through these 12. So far, the one that I'm closest to finishing, I think, is Marie Kondo's, and possibly First Impressions with by Jay Hogan. But as soon as I finish those, I will have a review out for you, and we'll see how it goes from there. So thank you all for watching. I hope I do actually get this TBR finished. I'll let you know by the end of the year if I end up getting any of these finished. Otherwise, they'll just roll over. So, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.